Hey you guys, welcome back to Plow and Pantry. I'm Alicia if you're new here, and this video is part of a collaboration called Freeze Dried February. If you are not sure what Freeze Dried February is, that is a collaboration put on by Angela over at the Inquisitive Farmwife, where every day in February, somebody, as part of the collaboration, has a video about freeze drying. Whether it's how to freeze dry, what to do with freeze dried foods, so you don't have to have a freeze dryer to be interested in some of these videos. How to cook with them, just how to store them, lots of different information about freeze drying. And as part of this collaboration, there are some very exciting things happening, which, by the way, I will link the playlist for the collaboration and Angela's channel below because you're going to want to go visit those. And here's why. We're doing some great giveaways this month. First thing you need to know though is if you are watching a video about Freeze Dried February and you want to participate in the giveaways, you want to look for this picture in the thumbnail. There are other people using Freeze Dried February hashtag, and that is totally fine. I want you to learn everything you need to about freeze drying. However, if you want to participate in the giveaways, I want to make sure you're watching the right videos for that. So if it has one of these pictures, it's part of the Freeze Dried February collaboration, and we are giving away a Harvest Right freeze dryer. So thank you to Harvest Right for that. In the description box below, you will find a link to register for your one entry per person, and that is being hosted straight from Harvest Right for a lot of different reasons, and it's making life easier for us. We also were giving away a bunch of smaller but awesome prizes, such as Mylar bags, vacuum sealers, books about food preservation, merch of different types. It's a great thing. And to enter for those, you want to leave comments in the videos that are part of that playlist for Freeze Dried February. Those comments are entries. You want to leave like real thoughtful comments, not just thanks please. But those comments will enter you in drawings for those smaller prizes, and all of the prizes will be awarded live on Angela's Inquisitive Farmwife channel on March 1st. I have to look up the time. I think it's 5 p.m., but I'll put it in the little comment in the bottom of the screen just to make sure. So, welcome to Freeze Dried February. If you are watching this on the day it's released, it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. I have a great husband of 24 years. This September will be our 25th anniversary, whom I love. He's my favorite Valentine. I have 3 awesome kids. I've been blessed that way. And I also love my freeze dryer. It has been one of the best tools for food preservation that I have had. I've had my freeze dryer for almost 3 years now. And there are some things that I thought I would do with it that I haven't been brave enough to try yet. So normally I like to use my freeze dryer. I use it all the time, by the way. I like to use my freeze dryer for things like snacks. My kids' 2 favorite snacks now over anything else are freeze-dried apple slices and freeze-dried strawberry slices. These go in lunches. These get given to friends who beg for them. If they have an event at school where everybody has to bring something, the friends will ask them to bring the freeze-dried apple slices or the freeze-dried strawberries. I also love my freeze dryer for fresh herbs from the garden in the summer, especially cilantro, because there isn't really a great way to preserve cilantro. Green onions, parsley, basil, all of it. In place of fresh stuff in the winter, I use that. So like if I'm making salsa that needs cilantro, instead of going to the store and buying it, which I also still do, I'll take a handful or 2 of freeze-dried cilantro and put it straight in there. I don't rehydrate it or anything. Also, I've done bell peppers, I've done onions and garlic. I made my own onion and garlic powder. I prefer the freeze-dried onion and garlic for powder over dehydrated. A long time ago, I dehydrated garlic, made my own garlic powder, and I didn't really like it. It was very, very pungent, almost bitter. And so I just kind of went back to buying it for a while. But since I've started freeze drying it, I have loved that. But bottom line here is, with all the things I've actually made very few things that I have to rehydrate. I use those herbs straight out of the jar. I throw my bell peppers that I've freeze dried straight into the soup or the skillet I'm sauteing them in. We eat the freeze-dried fruit as a snack without rehydrating it. And really, freeze drying is very easy. It's the rehydration that is the learning curve for different things. And I think that's one of the reasons that I've waited so long to try something that I really want to do, which are MREs, meals ready to eat. Some people call them camping meals. These are freeze-dried foods. You can buy them now at sporting goods stores. It didn't used to be such a big variety of them like there are now, although I did find less variety than I thought. I went to my local Bass Pro, kind of local, and I looked at that area just to see. I picked up some rehydrating tips on the packages there that I'll be using today or trying out today. But I was amazed at the price of those things. I knew they were expensive, but I was doing the like mental calculations. If I went camping, I would need multiples of each of those bags to feed my family, and wow, it would have added up really fast. Not to mention, like every other food that comes in a box or a bag, you've got more ingredients than it would have if you just made it at home. So here's my plan today. I got brave and decided, since I have a 5-tray freeze dryer, I was gonna go whole hog and make 5 different meals to freeze dry and try MREs out. Tried several things at once. And to me, if something doesn't work out, I don't necessarily want to spend the waste of time and money on that, but it's also calculated waste, because then I know if it's something I want to make a lot of in store or not ever touch again. So I have my doubts. I know some people will just freeze all of their leftovers and put them, like when they have a whole freeze dryer full, they'll put them on the trays and freeze dry them. And that is a great way to do that if that works for you. We typically eat our leftovers or have very little of them left, and I just give them to the chickens. But I did love the idea of having some meals ready to eat that you could just add water to for if power goes out or if one of the kids are just hungry, and it's an easy thing to do. So here's what I did. I'm going to walk you through what I made. We're going to rehydrate some things together and package them up. And I'm assuming that because it's my first time making these, that there's going to be some troubleshooting to do. So whatever doesn't work out, I'm going to be thinking through with you, what could I do? Is it fixable? And what might I do to fix that? So here's what I made. I started with spaghetti. One of my husband's favorite foods is spaghetti. I have my doubts about pasta rehydrating and not getting mushy. And also, I load my spaghetti sauce with ground beef, and I've had mixed results with things I've freeze-dried with ground beef before. I've done ground beef, it's been fine. I put it in chili, which is the closest thing I've come to as far as an actual meal or an MRE in there. I've done chili. Mashed potatoes rehydrate great, but that's not a full meal. I've done oatmeal, which I guess you'd call it, breakfast-wise, it's a meal, like flavored instant oatmeal. Those are easy. The ground beef for me has been kind of hit and miss depending on the thing. So I'm not so sure about the spaghetti and how it's gonna go. But I wanted to try it because it's one of my husband's favorite things. And sometimes he comes home from work really late, and he would love to have like spaghetti any night of the week. So that was a go-to, like that was the first thing I did was spaghetti. Second thing I did was also, this one I have a little better hope for because it's a new to me meal. It's the only experimental one I've tried for today. I got this recipe, well, I can link the recipe, but I got the idea for the recipe from the YouTube channel Freeze Dry Society, who was part of this collaboration actually. And she made this, it was chicken pineapple curry. She made this, she makes a lot of MREs, lives in Alaska. They do a lot of like adventuring and stuff, and she takes these a lot of places, and she said it was like the best MRE she'd ever made. So I'm gonna have to try that one. It sounded good. I made a double batch the night I tried it. We ate it for dinner, and then I freeze dried the rest of it. And what I did with these as I was going, by the way, is put them on my trays. I got some lids from Harvest Right I've been wanting for a while, and I broke down for this collaboration and finally bought them that snap onto the top so I could keep them covered in the freezer until I had all 5 trays full and ready to go. And I did not realize until I got them in the directions in those lids, they are actually almost portioned out if you wanted to do 4 portions on one, and you can use the lid instead of a tray if you wanted straight in the freeze dryer. It will withstand that. And so that was a cool feature. I didn't use it this time, but I thought that was really neat. Probably will use that in the future. But I put the lid on the curry, put that in the freezer, and then I also did barbecue mac and cheese. Barbecue mac and cheese is the one that I'm probably feeling the least hopeful about. I have not so much hope for pasta. I've heard mixed things about cheese sauces and cheeses. I had freeze-dried canned nacho sauce, and that worked fine. But because I was not thinking this one was going to work well, I went really low dollar on this. Normally, if I make mac and cheese or barbecue mac and cheese, I make mac and cheese from scratch and use homemade barbecue sauce. Or if I'm not making mac and cheese from scratch, I will get like the Annie's organic one. But I didn't want to ruin a good resource here, so I just got a box of Kraft mac and cheese and a bottle of barbecue sauce, mixed them to taste. Thought about making this chicken barbecue mac and cheese, but I was figuring that I could add chicken to it. I have freeze-dried chicken, and I always have canned chicken, like home canned chicken in the basement. And so I was like, well, if I want to make it chicken mac and cheese, I can just add the chicken later, more barbecue sauce if needed, or we can have the plain barbecue mac and cheese by itself. This way, my husband actually likes barbecue mac and cheese on a burger, so without the chicken, that would work for that too. But that's the one I will say that I'm least confident in. Another thing I made was a breakfast scramble. This is, I think I'm gonna have to get it out to tell you what meat I put in it. I put eggs in it, hash browns that I sauteed up, some sort of meat, possibly I think ham, but I'm not positive about that one. Nope, sausage. There's sausage in it, and cheese. And I just mixed it all up and put it in there. And I was thinking two things with this. One, we like that kind of stuff mixed together in a breakfast bowl. But two, it also would make a really fast breakfast burrito filling. I could just rehydrate it, stick it in a tortilla, roll it up, and there we go, instead of making all the different things out one morning for breakfast burritos. And last but certainly not least, I made apple crisp because I wanted a dessert item. And so that one was hard to get enough. I kept wanting to eat it. It was hard to stop myself and get it on the tray and get it in there. And for the apple crisp, I think it will probably taste pretty good because I think it will taste good because I've done oatmeal, like made my own flavored oatmeal and it came out fine, but I don't think it'll have the crisp part. So we'll have to rehydrate it and see how much that weighs into the enjoyment of eating it once it's been rehydrated. That's what I've made. I'm gonna go get those things out of the freeze dryer. They finished a little bit ago. They've been defrosting. I have different Mylar bags here. I just got an A-box from Harvest Right. I think I got these on Amazon. And I have oxygen absorbers. I have my sealer over there. But I'm gonna go get the trays first and we'll take a look at what they look like before we start packaging them up. And I'll get some into bowls to start rehydrating them. And I'm gonna get some water in the kettle going because hot water is the way to go for everything. There are very few things you wanna use colder water in. So I'll be right back. All right, let me bring you in for a closer look here. This is the apple crisp. So these chunks are the like oat topping, streusel topping, and these lighter ones are the apples. Everything's looking good. This is the breakfast scramble. This cheese, everyone talks about how it might be too greasy, but it actually is very, very dry. Here's the spaghetti. The barbecue mac and cheese is like the driest, probably like kind of curled up a little bit. And then the coconut chicken curry, I put in 3 little piles here. One last look. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get out an oven-safe container for this. And then 4 bowls for the rest of things. I need a bigger bowl for the chicken curry. So 3 smaller bowls. Big bowl. And an oven safe one. And I'm thinking with the apple crisp, what I'm thinking is that if it's kind of gross with the crisp part not being crisp, that I might want to try putting in the oven. So I'm gonna put one of these in here. And let's break up some of this. Oh, this is like, I thought it would be in a big sheet. Okay. I do, one of the one ingredient things that I do freeze dry are my eggs in the summer when I have a plethora of them. They rehydrate pretty well and can be used in like egg casseroles and stuff like that too. Don't want to do too much. All right, the spaghetti. Wow, it feels foamy and light. All right. And we do spaghetti with very thin spaghetti noodles. Barbecue mac and cheese. I'm just gonna do a little bit of that because it's not my favorite. Everybody else in the family likes it, but it's not my favorite. Chicken coconut curry. I'm gonna put in this big one. I'm gonna take a whole one of these sheets. This is on jasmine rice, but this can be my lunch today if it's good. Okay. Let's get some hot water on these. Okay, so here's one of the tips that I figured out when I was at Bass Pro when I was reading the packages of the freeze-dried food meals that they have. First of all, I noticed that almost everything was either a rice or pasta dish. I get that if you're backpacking, you're burning extra calories, probably need the carbs. But I was like, what if you don't want carbs? If you want to tailor it to like a lower carb diet or like you're diabetic or something. So obviously I have pasta and rice here too, but just a thought I had while I was there, I was like, there were a lot of similarities even though it looked like there was a whole wall of selection, there were a lot of very similar flavors. I was trying to go for different flavors here. But one of the things I learned when I was reading the packages for rehydrating, because I was like, can you really do this, was that they have you put a certain amount of hot water on things, let it sit, stir it, put a little more, and let it sit again. And so I'm going to try doing that. Obviously erring on the side of less water because you can always add more, but I really don't want anything to be too soupy, stuff like that. So my tea kettle is sounding like it's ready over here. So I'm just going to be guesstimating. Again, I am not one to do the measuring. You can, if you want to be exact and you don't want to take chances, go ahead, you know, measure it out, weigh the trays. It's not going to be bad for it. A little more than that because it is. Okay. So what I'm going to do is set this one looks like I didn't put enough. That's already soaked up. Not quite, okay. Tiny bit more though. I'm gonna set my timer for 5 minutes and let everything sit and then stir it and kind of get a feel for it and see how much water I might need to add. And while that's going, I'm going to get the rest of this into Mylar bags because you don't want it sitting out in the air absorbing things very long. It's very dark and rainy out today. So even though it's not like a humid summer day, there's still a lot of moisture in the air, and you don't want this stuff rehydrating before you store it. If it's something I don't end up liking, I can always dump it, reuse the Mylar bag for something else, and then I would rehydrate something that's a fail and give it to my chickens. I decided since I have 5 pieces of apple crisp left, I would do 3 individual servings and one that's a bit larger for a couple people to share. Ooh. That is my 5-minute timer. Let's stir these up. Let's see how we're doing here. Okay, the apple crisp is still really hard. It has not absorbed all of this yet, but that water is now cold. I'm gonna pour a little, I don't wanna overdo it. I'm gonna pour a tiny bit more, thinking that the heat will help it, and then I might put it in the microwave. It might just take a little longer. Some things take a lot longer than others to rehydrate. Okay, the breakfast scramble. Okay, it's looking pretty good, but I'm feeling some hard spots in here. Mostly on the cheese, but I don't want to add more water because it looks really, really hydrated and almost too much in a couple spots. So I'm trying to bury the hard bits under the bottom. And I'm just gonna leave that. Okay, the spaghetti needs more water. Definitely soaked up all that. And it looks pretty even. Let me get more water for this. Ooh, I hope I didn't do too much. I might have. If I did, you know what? I will put these in bags last so that I can add more in if I need to. Okay, the barbecue mac and cheese. This is not absorbing much. That's funny that these are both pastas, but I feel like that's absorbing it way faster than this is. I'm not gonna add more water because it's soupy, so I'm gonna let it sit a little bit longer. I'm just stirring it and letting it sit longer. All right, the coconut curry needs more water. It has some sitting in the bottom, but it still needs more. This is all still pretty darn hard. That was kind of a lot, but I felt like the chicken didn't really feel like any of it was rehydrated. Okay, so hopefully it will absorb that. All right, I'm gonna let everything sit for another 5 minutes and then we'll check on it again while I continue packaging stuff up. Those are the 3 smallest ones. This will be nice if I have a sweet craving and don't have anything in the house. If you don't already have a freeze dryer and you get one of the things to know about the Mylar bags is that sometimes when you buy them, not from Harvest Right, they have the tear notches on them, that the open part is on the bottom. So just remember that that is your top when you're labeling it. And I like to seal it kind of close to the edge so that I can cut it open and reuse it with something smaller. I also seal all my bags twice. I'm gonna do the breakfast scramble in one big bag so that I can make one family breakfast one day with this. There are like standing funnels that you can, it's on my wish list, that you can put these bags under and pour stuff on. Ooh, that is 5 minutes again. Okay, let's recheck everything because that was my 5-minute thing. So, okay, the apple crisp is starting to absorb more. I'm gonna try to break it up a little bit so that more of the center pieces can get exposed to the water. Some rehydrating methods do say to like microwave it or cook it on the stove in the water. I don't know, I want to try that. This breakfast scramble is looking pretty good here. Let me see. I think it's ready to taste. That's pretty good. I could eat this straight. I'm feeling like a tiny bit, like the sauce, some of the bits of sausage that are larger can use another 2-3 minutes. So I'm gonna leave this sitting here. I don't think it needs more water. There's not a puddle in the bottom, but it is wet feeling, but it's not mushy. It's like, it's still got all its individual ingredients. So I'm gonna leave this aside for just a couple more minutes. Spaghetti. It's actually looking good. Let's see. Okay, the spaghetti's good. The pasta's not mushy. If this microphone right here makes my chewing too loud, you might hear silence because I might like detach that audio so you're not hearing me chew and swallow. This is actually pretty good. I would say it is not as good as 100% like fresh homemade, but it's like 95% of the way there. I'm gonna give it another couple minutes like the scramble because I do feel like the noodles are well hydrated, but the beef is just barely hydrated enough. And I would like to see if the beef will finish rehydrating without getting the noodles soggy because they're gonna keep sucking in moisture as well. So I'm gonna leave this here. Let's look at the barbecue mac and cheese. This does not even feel ready, but it does have, it's still hard, but it has water in the bottom. So I'm gonna try that method of putting it in the microwave and letting it cook in that water and see if that helps. I'm just gonna do like 30 seconds. While we check out the coconut curry here. Okay, this smells great. It's looking good. It's got a little unabsorbed water, but I'm feeling like not all of the chicken feels hydrated yet. So I'm gonna stir it around. I'm gonna give it one more splash of water, smaller one. Only because I feel like as wet as it is, the chicken that is not rehydrated needs a little more. It's gonna suck in a lot of water. Okay, so I'm gonna stir this. Okay, mac and cheese. It definitely feels softer after putting in the microwave. Not sure it feels soft enough. Let me take a small. It needs to sit longer. I think that helped it, but now I'm gonna let it sit. Since that actually helped putting in the microwave, I'm gonna do that to the apple crisp too. Also, just 30 seconds. So I have seen some people rehydrate certain things that are dense like that with a steaming basket. I don't have that kind of steaming basket. I have the metal kind that sits inside and has a middle thing. So, but some people have the bamboo one where you can just put a whole piece of something plain, not broken up in there. That might be a good thing to try. I don't have that to try it. But I'm going to, let's see, this is going to come out, and I'm going to taste that before I finish packaging up while we wait a few more minutes. Okay, so reheating it in the water did help things kind of absorb more, which is funny to me because it's boiling water. It's not like it needs to be hotter. But for some reason, the cookie, maybe it's steaming a little bit in the microwave, but it's feeling like it's getting more spots, but it does need to sit and absorb longer. So this has been like 2 or 3 minutes now. Let's retest the breakfast thing. Yeah, see, it's looking better now. It's looking less wet, and I'm not feeling hard chunks anymore. That's pretty good. And man, I seasoned this well when I made it. It's so good. Okay. Breakfast scramble's a winner. Next time I make breakfast burritos, or sometime when I need to make a good big breakfast hearty for everybody and don't have much time, I'm gonna be making this. It was also the first one all the way done, so it's a fast rehydrator as well. Good to know, good to know. Keep this over here. I'm gonna eat this, so not waste it. Okay, I'm gonna reset my timer for 5 more minutes while I keep working on packaging this stuff up, and then we'll retest the other 4 items. All right. Okay, let's retest this. It's now been 15 minutes according to the timer, a couple extra minutes in between. Let's look at this apple crisp. I'm still feeling some hard spots, and some of it is not hard. So I'm gonna stick this back in the microwave because I feel like that helped it a lot. I don't want to add more water yet though. All right, let's check out this spaghetti. It looks good. Okay, so here's my thing about the spaghetti. It is like 90-95% like homemade, like fresh. The noodles are not mushy. They did get a little spongier while the rest of the beef was rehydrating. What you could do, I could eat it like this and be fine. I'm happy, it's fine. I'll have to ask my husband if he's okay with it too. But what you could also do is do the noodles and the sauce separately and then combine them. And I don't know why I didn't think about that. It has surprised me though with how good it is. I was not thinking that one was gonna work well. So I would say spaghetti is a thumbs up, but we're 2 for 2. You don't know how happy that makes me to have. I was hoping for just at least one really good one. I was like, please. All right, well, the mac and cheese has finally absorbed all the moisture, and the sauce that's left in the bowl looks like the sauce as if I had just made it, like the consistency of it. It's still hard though. Not hard, but like halfway hard. I'm gonna put another drop of water in here. And it tastes really good though, I have to say. Just a little bit. I'll probably just add like 2 tablespoons. Okay. Stir this up and set it aside. I might put this back in too. Yeah, for some reason heating it helps, and I'm not sure what that's about, but every time I pull it out, it's better than it was. So I wonder if I just kept doing that. It is now getting, I'll do it this way you can see, it is still a little watery, but it's not mushy. I'm gonna try a little bit even though I know there's some hard bits. The smell of it is making me starving for it. Oh my gosh. Okay. You know what? This might be the surprise of the century. The hard bits aren't hard, they're crispy. This is apple crisp, and the apples are soft and hydrated, and the crisp is hydrated but crispy. How the heck? Oh my goodness. I really did not believe there was any way that the crisp was going to come crispy. I thought it would just be like oatmeal. Wow. This is so good as well. Very, very good. That is amazing. My favorite so far. It's a big win. This is a big win, you guys. That's gonna be lunch. All right, let's get over here to the chicken coconut curry. Oh, wow. So I had thought when I dumped that last bit of water in that it was going to be too much, but I knew that the chicken was not. Some bits were hydrated, but some weren't. But it's absorbed it all. It is still, some of the bits of chicken feel like they're hydrated and some don't. Let me just take a bite here. I haven't taken a bite of this one yet. Okay. I need to put it in the microwave, it's cold. I'm putting that one in for 45 seconds because it seems to be like cold. You guys, I am excited. I'm excited about how these are turning out so far. I was just hoping and praying that one of these things would be great, and it is so far been, this is amazing. Breakfast scramble will be great. The spaghetti is probably, it's passable to me, it's probably great to my husband, but I'm gonna leave the rest for him to try. The barbecue mac and cheese, even though it's not done yet, it has good flavor, and I feel like it's actually gonna turn out good. It just needs a little bit more time. Coconut curry tastes great. I just need to figure out how to get it completely rehydrated correctly for it. The rice is doing well now, even though I keep adding water. Even though I keep adding water for the chicken, the rice is not getting over mushy or anything. Okay. Let me try this again now that it's been in the microwave. Yeah, so if I tap on the chicken bits, like if I tap right here, that one is soft. This one is not. I'm gonna take a bite of the soft one. That is good, and that is very close to how it was the night that I made it for dinner when I made it fresh. I'm going to add more water because it has absorbed appropriately, but my chicken chunks are still not fully hydrated. If I did this again, I might make my chicken chunks smaller just so that they hydrate faster. But I'm going to put more water on that and sit it longer. I'm going to try to splash right onto the chicken, and I'm going to push these chunks underwater, like on the bottom. Pull rice on top of them so that they're getting they're getting in the spot where they can be exposed. Okay? Sit that aside and set it for 5 minutes, which will bring that up to 20 something minutes. Again, it's just the chicken at this point. Let's try this mac and cheese. Now it's good. Microwave is cold. Y'all, I am so excited about this. Definitely gonna have to do MREs again. Okay, so the eggs took probably less than 10 minutes. The spaghetti took around 10 minutes. The apple crisp and the barbecue mac and cheese have taken about 15. That is perfect. It's perfect. It's not mushy. It's got great flavor. Okay, another winner. The coconut curry, chicken curry is taking the longest. If I had I made the chicken chunks about that big. If I had made them smaller, like a 1/2 inch dice maybe, it'd be better. If time is important to you, if you know like you're gonna have time, you just want to sit it in water and do something else, it's fine to have big ones. I'm gonna let it finish sitting. The apple crisp was about the 20-minute mark too. This is my favorite today. The mac and cheese, I would say, is my second favorite, even though I'm not making that for me because I'm not a huge fan of mac and cheese or barbecue mac and cheese. But that just came out, like what I just had right there was just like making it fresh. It was perfect. I'd say the breakfast scramble is my next, and I'm gonna have to wait for this to finish it's between that and spaghetti for last. But so far I would say that all of these are good. I thought I was gonna have to do way more troubleshooting. I was ready to put this into the broiler to re-crisp the top. Wow, I'm so impressed. So here, a couple takeaways for things I've been thinking about during this process. That was so good. I still can't believe the crisp is crispy. How did that even happen? My takeaways. The lids are necessary for stacking the trays. You could do like saran wrap or something if you don't need to stack them. For me, to do this method where some people say like they take their leftovers and put them in the freezer, and then when they have a freeze dryer load full, they'll put them on trays and do them out. I would have to figure out how to do that in like Ziploc bags or something, or I would have to order another set of trays and Ziploc bags are probably better just because I use these a lot. And I've been doing these 5 things over the last 2 weeks just as I've had time and sticking them in the freezer and figuring when they're all done, I'll pull them all out, put them in at once. I can't have my freeze dryer out of commission for 2 weeks. I use it way more often than that. So I would either have to get more trays or the Ziploc bags. And I'm saying the Ziploc bags is a better idea for me because it was also hard for me to find space in my freezer for the trays. I don't have an empty shelf. I use my deep freezer a lot. And if I had them in Ziploc bags, it would take up less space and be easier to tuck here and there. It would also be easier to do individual things in that. As far as like, I'm not gonna have a whole tray of leftovers unless I purposely double what I make. And I already double recipes, at least when my son's home or because we eat the leftovers. So I'd have to make a lot. So those are my things thinking going forward. I will say that because this was so successful, it makes me want to try other things. One of the things I heard was really good freeze dried, and I did not do it for an MRE because I was like, there's no way that that is good, is biscuits and gravy. And I was like, if that worked, that would be amazing. But I didn't think it would. I was like, there's no way you can rehydrate the bread. Great. And then what does the gravy do? Does it separate? Whatever. But after tasting some of this stuff, like the crisp is crispy. The rice and pasta are soft but not mushy. The cheese is fine in the mac and cheese. I am wondering, I'm going to give that a try. I'm going to give that a try. And my husband would also love if I tried something like chicken pot pie. Now my mind is like, why did I wait so long to do this? It was because I was scared of having to figure out the rehydrating learning curve. But let that be a lesson. Learn from my mistakes. Don't be afraid to try things. You always learn something, even if it doesn't work out. You always learn something. Okay. I still can't. Okay, that 5-minute thing is there. Hold on. Let me eat this whole thing right now. Okay. Let's see if I tap on. That one's not as hard, but not always soft. Some of these are in better shape. Obviously, I wasn't completely uniform when cutting my chicken. More than half of them, though, feel like they're pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one last try because it really is just a matter of sitting. There's also, I just realized that I'm also poking sometimes on a piece of pineapple, not just the chicken. All right, maybe this one last try and give my final order of favorites to least because if anything, this just needs more time. It's obviously a win. 5 out of 5. I'm so excited about it. I did not expect a 5 out of 5, you guys. That is really good. That piece of chicken was rehydrated well. I feel like I need to sprinkle salt. I don't know if my tastes are different than that night or if it loses some flavor over the process of freeze drying. But it is still really good. Okay, so my favorite, let's do the top 5 in order, right? My favorite was the apple crisp. Was not expecting that. So excited about that. My second favorite is going to be the breakfast scramble. My third favorite is the barbecue mac and cheese, again, surprising me. And now we're down to, let me make sure the spaghetti's warm enough to give it a decent taste. So I would say that as another tip that I learned today is not just using hot water, but also reheating it. I have read both either stick it in the microwave or put it in a pan. I didn't want to do that in the beginning because I didn't want to overcook it, but if you do it in short bursts, I guess it's fine. This looks even better than before. No, I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna say the barbecue mac and cheese is my number 2. And breakfast scramble is my third. Okay. Spaghetti. About the same as last time. Chicken curry. Find a piece of chicken that's all the way ready here. Okay, final order. Okay. I'm gonna have to tie these two. I'm gonna have to tie them. Apple crisp, still number 1. Barbecue mac and cheese and the breakfast scramble. I'm gonna say the tie for a second. Then the chicken curry. I would say spaghetti was my least favorite. And it was still good. It was still good. I would do this again. I'm going to wait and see what my husband likes because my thought with making this was that he would have meals when he comes home really late. So I'm going to put a top on this and put it in the fridge for later when he gets home. You guys, I'm excited about the results of this. I hope this was useful to you. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to check out the playlist below and watch all the other freeze-dried February videos. Don't forget to leave comments so you can enter for the giveaways. Don't forget to enter for your own freeze dryer if you don't already have one from Harvest Right in the link down there. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending your precious moments for me. There's a lot of things you can do with your time, so thanks for using your time to join me here on my channel. And I hope you guys have a fantabulous rest of your day.